The beauty and one of the major benefits of being on this conscious spiritual journey is that you strengthen your relationships. You even strengthen the quality of relationships that you are exposed to, you are essentially creating as a result of you really taking responsibility over who you're being, how you wish to be, and how you are being in alignment with who you truly are. Because on this journey, you recognize that people, right, though from the ego's standpoint or point of view, they are separate from you. When you're on the conscious spiritual journey and you recognize consciousness as being your true self, you no longer look at other people as separate from you. You look at them as reflections of you, as essentially one with you, because you start to take ownership over how you lead in exchanges and interactions, how you approach biases and prejudices even, but also recognizing that how you view that person is essentially a byproduct of all of the possibly unresolved issues, right? Belief systems, whether it be limiting belief systems, the limiting, paradigms that were fed to you and instilled in you as a child. You start to really recognize how those things show up in your life, particularly how they show up when you are engaged in your relationships, right? When you are actively wanting to create connections and bonds, right? Especially when you're talking about romantic relationships, between you and your partner, and recognizing that when you heal from these unresolved, unhealed wounds, right, of past trauma, and recognize that how you think or how you once approached relationships or believed about relationships was more of an exchange rather than simply recognizing the divine within that person, and thus being able to be vulnerable, right? Be transparent, be open and honest with that person because you identify that is what you want for yourself as well. So you're creating this space of recognizing how you are treating them, and all of the universe will in fact reciprocate back to you, you see, because it's just the nature of how the universe works coming from your consciousness. And so when you recognize that your relationships are a great indicator of how you really connect with yourself, how you heal, right, with trauma and deal with ideas and ways of thinking that really hasn't served anyone, right? Because usually the belief systems that you have about relationships, whether they be platonic or romantic, they stem from what you've seen as a child, right? What you observed from either your parents, your guardians, even what you've seen in media, TV, social media, what have you. And so if you are surrounding yourself, right, or if you have been brought up in an environment where you were surrounded by negative limiting beliefs, right, belief systems that people have some kind of say or they are in charge of you, right? They made you mad. They made you upset, right? Then on the spiritual journey, you start to let go of those belief systems and recognize that you get to take full responsibility and control over how you feel and what you do with those feelings, you see? And then you start to recognize the trauma, right? That was, that you have experienced, and thus heal those traumas. So that way you can move forward in a more loving, compassionate, empathetic, empowered way about how you approach your relationships, recognizing that it all starts and ends with you, just like everything in the universe. It all starts and ends with you. It starts with your consciousness. It starts with how you process it with the conscious mind, right? What was embedded and programmed in your subconscious mind, right? What was implanted in your unconscious mind, how your ego is managed. All those things are filters by which you create the reality that you are experiencing. And once you are on the spiritual journey and you recognize that you are creating it, then that gives you the power to recognize that you get to reprogram and create something completely new and different, something that aligns with what is going to create peace, happiness, fulfillment, joy, excitement, all the things that you truly desire. And so you have to recognize that by taking this conscious journey, you stop projecting, right, those unhealed wounds onto others. You stop assuming that, oh, this person did this, so that means that they don't love me. When in fact, if you simply were to ask that person, they will tell you that they love you with everything that they have, but they had did what they did as a result of their own personal trauma. So you get to become really empathetic and understanding, like, okay, so we get to separate our emotions, right? We get to separate our admiration, our love for one another. We get to separate those from the programs that we were, believed to be a reality, when in fact they aren't. They are simply programs that we witnessed and we assumed was normal, but in fact they aren't. We assumed that they were in alignment with what relationships should look like. Meanwhile, we feel unhappy, we feel frustrated, we feel fear, right? We feel anxiety. Those are already indicators that whatever you're thinking, whatever you're going through is not in alignment with who you are. And so now on the spiritual journey, you get to recognize that these negative emotions and feelings that I have associated with this person that I love doesn't match. And so now you have to take responsibility and separate those negative feelings, recognizing that they stem from wounds and trauma. You have to heal those wounds and trauma, and then take responsibility over your inner world. So that way, when your inner world is in alignment with peace and love and joy, right? With being honest with yourself and with everybody around you, that projects out into your reality. Because when you are experiencing an inner peace, it doesn't matter what kind of chaos is going on around you. It will be received with a state of tranquility, because your own internal environment is one of peace. And so you can see an opportunity that other people may see as chaotic, and you may step into that with an understanding and a resolve, right? A resilience, a level of understanding that, okay, this really isn't real. Okay. And then you get to walk into that experience, bringing with you the vibrancy, the energy, the frequency of love and tranquility, and thus completely shift the environment, completely shift the interaction, the exchange. This is why I talk a lot about leading in your relationships instead of allowing somebody to influence you, right? Thus, we have this whole saying, oh, this person made me mad. This person got me upset. This person caused me to react in this way. No, what happened is you gave them their power. You gave them the power to actually cause you to react, when in fact you should have came into the situation leading from the place of how you desire to be, right? Because that is who you truly are. If you desire to come into a relationship and experience a sense of peace and joy and happiness, regardless of how that person is being, that is what you will continue to maintain and have. And you will continue to walk away from that exchange the same way. In fact, even more empowered, because you get a glimpse, you get an understanding that it is all up to you, right? So recognize that your relationships are determined by your own ability to own your space, to lead in the environment that you are walking into. You are essentially creating that environment by being in alignment with that, right? With that. And what I mean, that is, whatever you desire. If you desire the situation to be fun and joyful, you can walk into a situation where you bring that energy with you. And even if other people are not having that same experience, that's on them. You still have an experience of excitement, of happiness, of fun. And then you continue to walk away and continue to maintain that. If you want a situation of experiencing love and communication and connection, you get to lead in that. You bring that with you, and you also take that with you. Okay. So you have to take responsibility over your own inner world, because that is the core, right, of what it is that you're going to manifest. It starts within and it expresses itself outward. Okay. Just like an apple, a fruit, a vegetable, right? We look at nature as examples of and a teacher, right? The fruit, it grows from the inside outward. When we see the fruit, we only see the outside part of the fruit, but that only is an expression of its internal DNA, right? Its essence. So when your essence, if your own internal DNA, your own, you know, experience that you claim is one of peace, then you carry that with you as your outside world. You see? So you have to build a deeper, more authentic connection with yourself in order to create that connection with others. It doesn't work to try to connect with others if you're not truly clear and connected with yourself, because when you're connecting with others without having a anchor, then you're going to be all over the place, because now you're connecting with people, right, that don't align with who you truly are. You're connecting with people over here who they have a whole different trajectory and desire. You have connecting with people over here who have no idea what they want to do with their life, and they may be toxic. You want to make sure that you are clear as to what you are creating, right? What your purpose is, and then be intentional about the connections that you have, and recognizing all people. Yes, those people who are toxic, recognizing, yes, they need love too. But you have to be responsible with the amount of time and effort that you put into those people. You have to align yourself with the people that are understanding, that resonate with the vibration and frequency that you are on and that you are looking to experience, because that is part of the environment of growing, right? The seed, right? Bearing fruit. You have to make sure that the environment is one that cultivates growth for you, And so when you take that, then you build those relationships and those connections, and you build it from a place of true authenticity, you see, because that is going to allow you to really see yourself. Okay. And when people understand you're being authentic with them, they are authentic with you, and that even deepens the relationship even more. You see, but other people who tend to be toxic, or they just are roaming around, they're really not clear as to where they're going, what they want to do. Those people are, and definitely are on their own spiritual journey, right? So we shouldn't discredit them or disrespect them or judge them. They are where they need to be. But we have to acknowledge that the more you associate with people like that, the more you become people like that, because it's about understanding that, yes, you lead in the relationships, you lead in this reality, but you also have to be honest about recognizing that when you put yourself in an environment where it doesn't support what you desire, it's going to be more difficult. It's going to create more resistance for you. You see? So though there are moments where you can exchange, you can support those individuals, you should probably limit that time and spend your time more with those who are going to uplift, support, allow you to relax and be comfortable in your growth. Okay. Because the other people, if they are not going to let you be comfortable in your growth, and thus that's going to slow down, that's going to create resistance for your growth. But recognize that the journey overall does create stronger relationships, no matter who the relationships are with. You just have to recognize how to approach those relationships. And that's what the spiritual journey will show you. Okay. That's about listening to your consciousness, being honest with yourself, being honest with other people. Okay. Now, if you need support and help with that, I advise you to get my book, The Enlightened Shadow, which is available on Amazon right now on ebook, print format, as well as the audiobook. I thank you so much for supporting me. Please continue to join me on this journey. Peace and abundance always.